Here we go with Excel, 4th grade Excel lesson number 75. This is Mr. Bedley, and I'm going to be your host for today's show. We are going through and learning about today equivalent fractions. We're going to be taking a look at all different kinds of models and how to find fractions of money. So here we go. Read along with me here. Let's see. 3/6 of the figures are triangles. If you look at this picture here, you can see that there's 1, 2, 3 triangles, and there's 6 shapes altogether. So we would say 3 out of the 6 shapes, or 3/6, are triangles. Notice that the figures on the right, notice these figures over here. Okay, the 6 figures can be divided up into 2 equal groups. By dividing the figures into 2 equal groups, the triangles can also be referred to as 1/2 of the group. So if this was 2 groups, you can see that that's 1 group right there. And 1 group is triangles out of the 2 total groups that you see there. So we can say that half of the shapes are triangles. All right, fractions that refer to the same portion of a group of items or the same part of a whole are called equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions means fractions that are naming the same amount of stuff. It's the same amount of stuff. You can change the numbers in a fraction and still be naming the same amount of stuff. And we're going to see that right now. So number 1, 2 triangles here, and there are 2 circles. So altogether, we have 4 shapes, right? We can see that when you put these in groups, these 2 right here, this makes 1 group. The 2 circles makes 1 group. So what you have is 1 out of the 2 groups, here's the fraction, 1 out of the 2 groups are circles. Oops, I should have shaded that one instead. Okay, so 1 out of the, let me erase that there. This is kind of fun. I get to use my eraser. So there we go. Okay, so 1 out of the 2 groups that you see here are circles. So we'd say that 1/2 are circles. Now, we can also break this into individual pieces. We have 4 individual pieces, individual shapes, a circle, a circle, a triangle, and 2 of those are circles. 1, 2. So we could say that 2 out of the 4 shapes altogether, remember the denominator means what the whole is, and here our whole is this whole group of shapes. It's the whole set of shapes. So we'd say that 2 circles out of the 2 are circles out of the 4 shapes altogether. All right, let's look at number 2 together here so you can understand this hopefully. We have 4 groups, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 of those groups, this one, and this one, have circles. The 4th group does not have circles, it has squares. So we can call this 3/4 because 3 of the 4 groups are circles. 3 circles, 4 total groups. We could also split this up into individual shapes, and we'd find out that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 circles out of a total of 8 shapes. So we'd put a 6 here. Fill in your paper. So I want you to understand what we're talking about, what this whole thing is about here. 1/2 is the same thing. In number 1, 1/2 is the same amount of stuff as 2/4. It's this part right here. 1/2 is the same amount of stuff as 2/4. Over here in number 2, 3/4 is the same amount of stuff as 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 8. It's still the same thing. It's still this part right here is the part we're talking about when we say 3/4 or when we say 6/8. All right, pause the video, try number 3 on your own, and then turn it back on for the solution. So it says 1 out of something are circles here. And right there are the circles. That is 1 group out of how many groups altogether? 1 out of 3 groups. Or we could say 2 shapes, 2 circles, out of 6 total pieces. That's what that one means, 2 out of 6. So when we say 1/3 or we say 2/6, we're always naming this. It's the same amount of stuff. All right, fractions are tricky. Here we go. It's a long lesson today. Hang in there. You'll have less to do on the guided practice than you do on most days, so long lesson, short independent work. Number 4, write the fraction that represents the shaded portion on each rectangle. So now we're looking at a whole being a rectangle. Here's the whole rectangle, and you can see that one part is shaded out of 2 total parts, and these parts are the same size. Some kids get confused. They see a rectangle like this, and they see that part shaded right there, and they say 1/2. No, that's not 1/2. Just because there are 2 parts and one of them are shaded, the parts have to be the same size. So you can see this one is the same size as the gray one next to it. So we'd say that that's 1/2. Now, what do you think is shaded right here? Well, we have 1, 2, 3 that are gray. How many do we have altogether? Of course, there are 6. So we could say that 3/6 are shaded. Write that in there, and then I want you to do number 6 by yourself. Pause the video. Okay, on this one you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are shaded, and all together, when you count those, you get 10. 5/10 that are shaded. All right, moving right along. Each of the rectangles is the same size, and even though they are divided differently, the portion that is shaded is equal to 1/2 for each one. Okay, so we're going to see that right here. 3/6 is equal to 1/2. This can be verified. That means you can find out that it's true. What is 6 divided into 2 equal parts? 6 into 2 equal parts is 3. There should be 3/6 in each of the parts. So when you look up here, you can see on number 5 that this is still 1/2, even though it's 3/6. If I split it right there, I have 1 shaded part to 2 total parts, and it looks exactly like that. All I did was cut some more times in the middle, but there's still the same amount of shaded stuff. Here, 5 out of 10, this shaded part right here is still half of the whole thing. So this is a half, and this is half. Now don't change that on your paper. I'm just showing you how it's still a half, even though we're calling it 3/6 or 5/10. All right, let's take a look at number 7. To check what is 12 divided into 3 equal parts. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. Here is 4 parts, 4 parts. I can draw a line right there, and 4 parts there. Those shaded 4 parts is the same as that. These unshaded 4 parts is that part, and these 4 unshaded parts is that part. So you can see that 4/12 is the same amount of stuff as 1/3. All right, let's look at number 8. 2/8 is equal to 1/4 here. How can we check that? Well, if we divide 8 into 4 equal parts, here is 8 parts, and we divide that into 4 equal sized parts. I'm splitting these parts up into 4 equal sized parts. We've got 2 in each one. 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, and 2 there. So this is the same thing as that. It's still 1/4. All right, moving over to the other half of your paper. It says since 4 quarters equal $1, if a dollar is divided into 4 equal parts, each part will be equal to 25 cents. So this quarter right here is equal to 25 out of 100. What does that mean? 25 cents out of 100 cents that are in a dollar, or it's equal to 1/4 of a dollar. Why is it equal to 1/4 of a dollar? Let's take a look. Here's a quarter. I'm not going to draw George Washington on there. There's a quarter. Oh, these are really ugly quarters. There's a quarter, and there's a quarter. Do you see that 1/4 right there is equal to 1/4 of a whole dollar, because 4 quarters makes a dollar. So 25 cents out of 100 cents is what this thing is, and it's also 1/4 of a dollar. All right, here we go, down to number 9. These get a little tricky. You might want to pause the video and give yourself a chance to think about this stuff if you're getting stuck. 1 nickel is equal to 5 out of 100. I want you on your paper right now to write cents next to each one of those. Go ahead and do that. And then when I check your papers, then I will know that kids are paying attention, because that's 5 cents out of 100 cents that makes a dollar. Now, why is this also equal to 1/20th? How many nickels are there in a dollar? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. If you count on your fingers, you will get up to 20 to get to a dollar by counting by fives. So there are 20 nickels in a dollar, and this is 1 nickel out of the 20 nickels that it takes to make a dollar. Let's look at number 10. 1 penny is 1 cent out of 100 cents of a dollar. I want you to write cent signs right next to the 1 and 100. I'm not doing it on the screen just to see if kids are actually listening to the lesson. They're not just skipping right through. So 1 penny is 1 cent out of 100 cents that makes up a dollar. All right, here we go. We're still moving along. 2 nickels, number 11. What's 2 nickels worth? That's 5 cents each, right? So 5 and 5 makes 10. 2 nickels is 10 what? Put cent sign right next to that. $1 is equal to 100 cents. Put a cent sign right next to that one. So 2 nickels is 10 cents out of 100 cents. That's what fraction of a dollar it is. Now, where did the 2 and the 20 come from? I want you to put an N right there and an N right there. Go ahead and write N and N. 2 N's, 2 nickels out of 20 nickels that makes a dollar. So 2 nickels is equal to 2/20ths of a dollar. All right, here we go with number 2. I want you to guess and see if you can beat me. What are you going to put right here and right there next to 20 and 100? Because dimes are equal to 10 cents, right? So what you should have put, go ahead and see if you can beat me there, is put a cent sign there and a cent sign right there, because 2 dimes is 20 cents out of 100 cents of a dollar. What do you think you're going to put right next to the 2 and the 10? See if you can write that before I tell you. That's right. You're going to put a D next to the 2 and a D next to the 10, because that's 2 dimes out of the 10 dimes that it takes to make a dollar. All right. I would like you to pause the video, try number 13 on your own. Right here, you're going to put cents, and right here, you're going to put nickels. Think of it that way, just like you did up here and right here. Pause the video, try it on your own, and then turn it back on. So the correct answer here is 3 nickels is equal to 15 cents, right? Did you get that, or did you write a 3 there on accident? How much out of it's always out of 100 cents, because that's what a dollar is. 3 nickels is 15 cents out of the 100 cents it takes to make a dollar. It's also 3 nickels, 3 N's, out of how many nickels that make a dollar? 20 N's. We see that right here. It's the same as that one. Okay, hopefully you got that right. Pause it, think about it a little bit more if you're struggling. Number 14, pause the video, try it on your own. Okay, so in this first slot, we're going to put money. 2 quarters is how much money, how many cents? 50 cents. How many cents does it take to make a dollar? 100 cents. So 2 quarters is 50 hundredths of a dollar. We can also write it as 2 quarters, put a Q in there if you didn't do it, out of how many quarters that it takes to make a dollar? 4 quarters. Okay, fix your paper if it's wrong. Now I want you to try 15 and 16, just those 2. Pause the video and do it on your own. 5 dimes is equal to 50 cents. Make sure you put a cent sign in there, out of, obviously, 100 cents that it takes to make a dollar. It's also 5/10ths of a dollar. Now, if you wrote 1/2 of a dollar, that would be true as well. I'm going to put D in here for 5 dimes out of 10 dimes. 14 pennies is 14 cents out of 100 cents that it takes to make a dollar. There's no other way to write that. It's just 14 hundredths of a dollar. Fix your paper and then do 17 and 18. Pause the video while you're trying it. 3 quarters, that's 75 cents out of 100 cents that it takes to make a dollar, or 3 quarters out of 4 quarters that it takes to make a dollar. 75 hundredths or 3/4. 17 nickels is equal to, you had to probably count that out on your fingers. Let's see if you got it right. That would be 85 cents out of the 100 cents it takes to make a dollar. The other way to write this is 17 nickels out of 20 nickels that it takes to make a dollar. All right, well, thanks for watching. I know that was a long one. Hopefully you learned a lot about fractions. Make sure you show your work on all your word problems today. Put those labels on your word problem answers. Make sure you put dollar signs and cent signs on your money answers. Have a good day.